Hey everyone, welcome to a little video on the basics of blogging and storytelling through blogs. I'm Seb Baird. I work for the Time to Change campaign on the digital team, so I do a lot of blogging and blog editing and video editing for them. I'm a trustee for Student Minds, and I also founded the Mind Your Head campaign in Oxford when I was a student there, which is an anti-stigma campaign, and it's been going for a few years now. I'm going to chat to you a bit about why blogging is such a powerful tool for mental health and some of the kind of key principles of good storytelling through blogs. So why is blogging such a powerful tool? Using personal stories as you do in blogs is a really effective way to cut through to the reader. You might have one of a number of different goals. It might be to change attitudes, to inspire recovery, or help people to help themselves. It might be to kind of change the policy around a particular issue, or it might be to inspire people to donate to Student Minds. But in any event, audiences are more likely to listen to someone who's like them than an anonymous brand. And reading a personal story that's written by a quote-unquote real person is a really effective way to kind of appeal to them and get them to change the way they do something, whether that's someone with lived experience, someone who's supporting someone, or someone who's completely new to the issue. Cool. It allows for complexity, and as we know, mental health is quite a complex thing, in a way that a Facebook post or a tweet or a photo or a video doesn't allow for. Blogs allow the author to get complicated things across to the reader, and it helps them to think more about what they're trying to communicate, so they don't have to do it instantaneously. They can take the time to mull over what they want to say and write it and get it really right before they publish it. And the length of the blog, so 600 words, gives them the room to explain something that might be hard for the person to understand right away. It's also editable and retractable, so editable is good because it means that if you're reading a submission, you think there's something that could be made more effective or more powerful or more clearly stated, you can work with the blogger to help them achieve that. It's also retractable, so if they decide at one point that they don't want it to be online anymore, they can work with you to take it off, which is harder to do with a newspaper article or a media piece on video. So let's talk about some of the principles of good storytelling. We've got 5 there. Keep it simple, have the audience and objective in mind, be efficient, be clear, and think visual. Number 1 is keep it simple. So try and make sure that each blog is answering one central question. It's quite easy with mental health to get kind of caught up in the topic, and I think people often have a lot of feelings about what they're writing about. And it's often quite hard and quite therapeutic to write, and they end up just kind of doing a kind of stream of consciousness. Here are the 5 things or 10 things that I want to say about having a mental health problem. So it's much more effective if it's just answering one central question or addressing one theme. So it's really important that you work with the blogger to make sure that they're clear on what that question is. What is it? What problem do they want to solve by writing this blog? Keep the audience and objective in mind. So ask yourself and ask the blogger the questions: who are you trying to reach, and what change are you trying to inspire in them? So it's often quite helpful actually just to imagine who that person is, what they look like, what they're doing, what kind of things they like to do, what kind of language they use, and what kind of language they respond to, and think about what you want them to do differently. So that might be to look after themselves better, it might be to look after a friend better, it might be just to think about the issue of mental health, it might be to commit to supporting Student Minds in some way. And then you can adapt the content of the blog and the tone of the blog in a way that's going to most effectively reach them and inspire them to change. Sorry. Number 3 is be efficient. So think about the reader's attention as a scarce resource. Kind of like in a video game when you've got a power bar and it's slowly depleting as the reader is going down the blog. Are you looking after their attention? Are you making sure that everything you need to get across is being got across before the power bar depletes? And it's for that reason that blogs need to be short, kind of about 600 words. With blogs, the reader expects to be able to get to the point quickly. There's kind of an unwritten agreement between blogger and blog reader that they should be able to get what you're getting at quickly so they can move on to the next thing. be clear, so help the reader to understand what you're communicating, speaking in plain English and explaining any jargon, so they might not understand some things about mental health that seem clear to you or me. They might not know what an SSRI is, or what suicidal ideation is, or what OCD stands for. So make sure that you're fully explaining any jargon or acronym that you're using in ways that they can understand. And the best bloggers are those that kind of use metaphor and stories and comparisons to explain something about mental health in very plain English that everyone can understand. And that works structurally as well, so using titles and subtitles, using the blog's title, a very clear and succinct title that explains what they're going to be reading, using subtitles to keep the reader's attention, and lists and bullet points work really well as well. So you might see like 5 ways to support someone with a mental health problem, or 5 things that you shouldn't say to someone, or 5 ways to boost your own mental well-being. And those are just really good, clear ways of subdividing a blog. Number 5, think visually. It's kind of less important than the others, but it really helps to include a picture of the writer if they're willing to submit one. Obviously, don't put too much pressure on them to do it, but it really helps the reader to engage with the blog if they can kind of imagine who it is that's telling their story and put themselves in their shoes, or imagine that that's a friend or a family member. It kind of, and it also just helps to break up the 600 words of text. All right, thanks. I'm sure Nick will pass on my contact details and give me a shout if you need any help. And best of luck with running the Student Minds blog.